Producer, and philanthropist. No doubt we all know her best for hosting her eponymous talk show, the highest rated in television history. Forbes has ranked her the richest American of the 20th century. Biography.com is the greatest black philanthropist in American history, and Forbes nailed the point home that Oprah is and should be considered the most influential African American woman in the world. We're talking about a seemingly average girl born to a poor single mother in Mississippi, later raised in Milwaukee, raped at age 9, became pregnant, gave birth to a stillborn by 14, and was then shipped off to live with her father in Tennessee, where she was finally able to blossom. She earned honors in high school in Nashville, was voted the most popular girl, and won herself second place in a national dramatic interpretation contest. While still in high school, she got her start in media by co-anchoring a radio program. She received a full-ride scholarship for winning an oratory contest at Tennessee State University, a historically black institution where she studied journalism. At 17, she won Miss Black Tennessee. In 1976, moved to television, becoming the youngest and first black female news anchor in Nashville, and in 1978 moved to Baltimore to continue her career in television. Her television career is no doubt defined by her 1983 move to Chicago, where she took over a failing television show, expanded it to 1 hour, and within months had overtaken the Phil Donahue Show as the most watched television program in Chicago. By 1984, she had more than doubled his viewership. Let's take a moment to note that until this time, this man, Phil Donahue, had his own talk show on national television from 1970 to 1996, originally based in Chicago along with Oprah's, and was her biggest competition in the market. Oprah went on to co-found the Oxygen Network, form her own television production company, Harpo, spelling Oprah backwards, and in 2008 created her own television network with Discovery Communications by changing Discovery Health Channel to OWN, of course standing for the Oprah Winfrey Network. Her daily talk show finaled after 25 years on May 25th of 2011, but her legacy continues to live on through reruns and new productions on her very own network, pun intended. In addition, she's had multiple film and voiceover opportunities, co-authored 5 books, started her O magazine in 2002, which Forbes has called the most successful startup ever, and lastly has had her own 24/7 XM satellite radio channel number 156 since 2006, featuring at least 30 minutes of new material 39 weeks a year, as well as having on many new guests and repeat programs. Time magazine has credited Oprah with creating an intimate form of media communication and for reinventing her show with a focus on literature, self-improvement, and spirituality. She's been praised for overcoming adversity, becoming a benefactor to others, as well as providing a medium for gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender acceptance in mainstream society. On the other hand, she's been criticized for unleashing a confession culture, promoting controversial self-help ideas, and promoting an emotion-centered approach. Details of her personal life seem to be less common knowledge. After a relatively rough childhood, she went through a string of painful, unsuccessful romantic relationships. A high school lover who broke up with her because he believed that she was destined for more. Her first serious relationship refused to move with her to Baltimore. John Tesh departed over interracial issues. She then dated a producer and later had a 4-year stint with a married man. Her lack of romantic success and increasing insecurity led to weight gain, experimental drug use, and peaked in a suicide note left to her best friend Gayle King in September of 1981, though she claims that she knew that she never could have gone through with it. She's been with her current boyfriend, entrepreneur Stedman Graham, since 1986 and was engaged to be married in a 92 ceremony that never happened. Her other notable personal relationships have been with already mentioned Gayle King, now editor of O magazine, and close relationships with both Maria Shriver, wife of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and author Maya Angelou. Besides her successful television career, the other most widely known information about her revolves around her self-made wealth. Time magazine notes that she became a millionaire at age 32 when her talk show went national. By age 41, her net worth was $340 million, replacing Bill Cosby as the only African American on the Forbes 400, and she's remained the only African American to rank the 400 every year since 1995. With a 2000 net worth of approximately $800 million, she's believed to have been the richest African American of the 20th century. A study of her career has been made into a course at the University of Illinois called History 298, Oprah Winfrey the Tycoon. In 2006, at $260 million annually, she was the highest paid entertainer at 5 times the second place Simon Cowell, and by 2008, her annual income had surpassed $275 million. Forbes International listed her as the only black billionaire in 2004 to 2006 and the first black billionaire in world history. By 2010, with a $2.7 billion net worth, she's also overtaken eBay CEO Meg Whitman as the richest self-made woman in America. Although important and notable considerations, the topic here is not even Ms. Winfrey's personal or even professional details. Much rather, we need to examine the effects and the mark that she's left on our world, as can be detailed in 3 main categories as follows. First, we consider the Oprah effect. In 2008, CNBC coined the phrase the Oprah effect, referring to the power of her opinions and endorsement to influence public opinion, especially that of consumer purchasing power. In 1996, her book club became so powerful that new books added became instant bestsellers, and being recognized by her meant up to an additional $1 million in sales. Author Kathleen Rooney described Oprah in her 2005 book, Reading with Oprah, The Book Club That Changed America, as a serious American intellectual who pioneered the use of electronic media, specifically television and the internet, to take reading, a decidedly non-technological and highly individual act, and highlight its social elements and uses in such a way to motivate millions of erstwhile non-readers to pick up books. Another example, in 1996, a guest appeared on her talk show and brought attention to mad cow disease, after which she stated that she would never again eat a burger. The show and her comments were so influential that sales of beef dropped $11 million in 2 weeks. The industry was scrutinized, after which she was sued in a 1998 2-month trial in Amarillo, Texas, claiming her false defamation of perishable food and business disparagement. Oprah won the lawsuit with the assistance of Dr. Phil McGraw, whose company she had hired to analyze and brief the jury. Oprah was so impressed with him that she continued to have him on her show as a regular guest. This brings us to a second example of the Oprah effect. Through her Harpo Productions company, she's had the ability to launch other successful talk shows, including Dr. Oz, Rachel Ray, and not coincidentally, the Dr. Phil Show. Her label on each of these additional talk shows has led them to success under her brand. Yet another and highly criticized example of her influence was her public endorsement of now President Barack Obama during his 2008 election campaign. University of Maryland economists have estimated that her endorsement alone made the difference in popular vote between Obama and Ms. Hillary Clinton. Rob Blagojevich, the former governor of Illinois, was so impressed by the effect of Oprah's endorsement that he stated on the Glenn Beck show that he considered her to be the most instrumental person in electing Barack Obama president, with a voice larger than all 100 senators combined. In addition to the Oprah effect, she's become a spiritual leader. Christianity Today published an article in 2002 declaring that Oprah had emerged as an influential spiritual leader and has abandoned traditional talk show fare for more edifying content. And in 1998, when she began Change Your Life TV, Oprah's most significant role has become that of a spiritual leader. To her audience of more than 22 million mostly female viewers, she's become a postmodern priestess and an icon of church-free spirituality. In her book, The Gospel According to O, Marsha Nelson agreed, stating that since the mid-1990s, Oprah has used her show to emphasize uplifting and inspirational topics and themes, and some viewers say the shows inspired them to perform acts of altruism such as helping Congolese women and building an orphanage. The University of Cambridge, in conjunction with University of Plymouth and University of California, conducted a study in which an uplifting Oprah clip was shown to one group versus a British comedy or nature documentary to another, and observed that the group watching the uplifting Oprah segment was 2 times as likely to be helpful afterwards. Rudy Giuliani requested her presence 12 days after September 11th to lead Prayer for America at Yankee Stadium in New York City that was attended by distinguished guests including Hillary and former President Bill Clinton. Former President George W. Bush asked Oprah to join him and his team on a trip to Afghanistan to celebrate the return of Afghan girls to public schools. However, Oprah politely declined. And lastly, PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment for Animals, named her Person of the Year in 2008 for uncovering cruelty in puppy mills and on farms, for highlighting her cruelty-free vegan diet, and refusing to wear furs or allow them in her magazines. Lastly, in addition to the Oprah effect and her spiritual leadership, she's recognized for her philanthropy. In 2004, Businessweek reported that Oprah was the first Black to rank among the 50 most generous Americans and remained so until 2010. In 2012, Forbes reported that she donated a total of $400 million to educational causes alone, including awarding over 400 scholarships to Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. In 2013, she donated $12 million to the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture. Her own website describes contributions made by her Oprah's Angel Network in charitable projects and nonprofit organizations around the world. More than $80 million was distributed, including a separate $11 million for Hurricane Katrina relief by 2010 when it was dissolved, and 100% went to the programs, the cost of the administration being absorbed by Oprah herself. Most notably and recognizably are Oprah's contributions after her 21-day South African visit to schools and orphanages, where she distributed Christmas gifts and school supplies to over 50,000 African children. One show alone led to over $7 million in donations, and she later invested over $40 million in her own time in developing the Leadership Academy for Girls in January 2007, just south of the city of Johannesburg, South Africa. As is the case with each other highly notable person in history, her legacy cannot be considered without discussing criticisms and controversies in which she's been involved. Best reported by Time magazine, in short, they include, after publicly endorsing Barack Obama, she was criticized for not inviting Sarah Palin on her show immediately following her nomination. Obama stated she didn't want to make her show a political platform and pointed out that Obama had been on prior to announcing his candidacy. Media claimed political bias and that Oprah simply did not wish to have the first woman on a Republican presidential ticket on her show. Second, in 2003, Oprah explored potential negative effects of U.S. military action against Saddam Hussein while public support for war was growing stronger. She was praised by the anti-war advocates, but was criticized by government officials, and there's speculation that the Bush administration intentionally scheduled a press conference at the time of her broadcast to interrupt with her anti-war message. Third, in June of 2005, Oprah was denied entrance to an Hermès store in Paris, the store saying that they did not recognize her without makeup and that they'd been having a problem with North Africans lately, but other sources reporting that she'd arrived at closing. Oprah addressed the incident on her show, describing her experience as humiliating and familiar to anyone who's ever been snubbed because they were not chic enough or thin enough or the right class or the right color. Hermès' president appeared personally on the show to publicly apologize to Oprah, and the dispute was considered settled. Fourth, author James Frey presented his book A Million Little Pieces about substance abuse and redemption, and Oprah made it an official book club selection in 2005. A year later, a public account of the book's inaccuracies was published, and she later called the author back on her show to publicly address the situation. He was dropped by his agent, and his two-book, seven-figure deal was voided. Fifth, 1 year after Oprah personally selected 152 girls to attend her Leadership Academy in Johannesburg, 6 of the girls accused a dorm matron of sexual and physical abuse. Oprah was so upset personally that she returned to South Africa with a team of private detectives to investigate and to speak with each of the girls herself. But all criticisms and controversies aside, there should be little doubt that entrepreneurially and otherwise, Oprah Winfrey is the most influential Black African American woman of the 20th century, intellectually, spiritually, and philanthropically. She's the epitome of the American dream, has become and will continue to be an inspiration to African American youth, and it would do the world good to follow her examples in thought and altruism. More people like Oprah Winfrey would certainly make this world a better place. God bless Oprah and her multitude of achievements.